Morning and welcome to Gulfstream today as you overlook a fast main track, a good turf course, and of course the Tapeta as well. And I've got to give a gulp clap to the grounds crew to get that main track fast after we had a heck of a lot of rain yesterday. Later in the card as well, Brian Natto, Mike Welsh from the Daily Racing Form with me. And boy, if you saw the late part of the card yesterday, the rain really came down, but we are on the turf with the exception of the opener today. That fast main track, you said this morning you were out there clocking, and it was on the fast side already.
Yeah, it started out muddy, and then it was upgraded to good after the first break, and second break they harrowed it, and it was fast. So, and it was a bit on the fast side. The wind is actually blowing out of the south pretty good this morning, which means going up the head of the stretch. So the horses were going fast early and getting a little slower coming down the stretch, but I thought the track was in good shape, everything considered.
Good to hear, and a heck of a job again by the grounds crew. And we've got 12 races on tap today. The stakes is on the turf as well, and obviously Preakness 147 up in Baltimore. So if you're out here, stop by. We've got the watch party here today. As well. That Preakness is going to go a little bit after 7 o'clock. I think 7:01 is the post time. So we'll be here. We've got 12, like I said, today. And we've also got $450,000 in the gross jackpot Rainbow Six. There you see it there. Starts in race 7. And I'll have a ticket put together there for that. But the opener in 57 minutes here, we are on the Tapeta. This is the one race that comes off the turf. We go to the Tapeta, early pick 5 time as well. So we'll take a look at my ticket there. I kind of bobbed and weaved a little bit. I had my long shot in here, lost that one. You see the scratches of the 1, 3, 4, and 8 in the opener. The good news, they are the only 4 scratches on the entire 12 race card. So this is a 36.
Pretty amazing.
It really is pretty amazing. Like, yeah, I got to work today, and you get the email, and that was it. One set of scratches in the opener. That's it. So great to see that. In race 2, I go down inside, win no joke. In race 3, the order is 61. Russian to Win and Democracy, 8-10 in that order. Dixie Diva is now my new long shot play of the day with the scratch, as I mentioned, of Oriental Park in the opener. And then we go 3 deep in race 5. We've got a replay of Dominate the Moment coming up a little bit later. And what is a very key race for today's card, because Dominate the Moment and my best bet of the day, actually, Risk Manager, is going to run in the Mr. Steel. So that's a key race to take a look at. But Mike will shift our attention back to the opener. And again, now we are on the Tapeta, the only race that's washed off the turf today. We go on the Tapeta for the opener. 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds and up, which have never won 2. The tag is 12-5, and I landed on the 10, Mike, or on the 9, excuse me, on the scratch. El Picado. I think Peter Walder's done such a good job at the Royal Palm meet, and I say this quite often in spots like these. I don't think it's a bad thing to be coming in off a win, even though you are facing winners. Typically, that can kind of be, a significant class drop. In these type of spots, it doesn't bother me as much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a little skeptical when horses go from maiden to winners races, but he's well spotted in here for the tag that he's going in here for. I went with another Duke, and look, it's tough to like a horse that's 1 for 17. I get it. I actually liked him a little better when the race was on the turf because, I mean, look, I know he ran well on the Tapeta last time, so the switching surface doesn't bother me today. But obviously, Michael Yates thinks he's better on the turf because the only time he's run on Tapeta before are races that he was entered in and they came off the. Right. Came off the turf. So I think he's finally down where he belongs, 12-5. This is it. I mean, he's got to get a trip. You know how these things go. The 4 scratches really help him, moves him in from post 10 to post 6 today. I also thought Thing, too, is getting that same kind of class relief, down where he belongs. The question mark with him is the distance. Most of his races have been at 5/8, and most of them have been on the turf. But he's going to show speed. He's going to be forwardly placed. And, again, when you get that kind of class relief, you could be real dangerous, especially if he can get loose at some point.
Yeah, he drops from 35, and you don't see a 2-turn race on the page. And as Mike said, he could get loose in here with an aggressive ride early because he's got that sprint chase kind of tactical speed. And, he's been close to the lead, too, sprinting in the past. So you wonder if just maybe Edwin Gonzalez takes the initiative. And I say it time and time again, he just consistently puts horses in the right spot. And you wonder if maybe just they try to wire this field with Thing. We've got the same 3 here. Those are the ones I'm using in my early pick 5. I'd like to think that's going to get me through.
If you're an Adams Family fan, though, you got to bet Thing.
Thing. Right? I mean, it's Ronnie's favorite horse, I think, too, as well. So Into race 2 is the early pick 4 here as we come back. First time on the main track again, a fast main track. A great job after all the rain yesterday, and we saw the track was pretty snappy yesterday. This is a maiden special weight. They're 3-year-olds and up. We go 6 furlongs on the main. I'll start it with you, Mike. Positive review for Safi. Has kind of been knocking at the door, hasn't broken through. Elsa Morrison got a couple wins yesterday herself.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it bothers me a little bit. You see him hang in those last eighth of a mile. He's been a beaten favorite a couple of times, but it gets just so much better horses.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the horses in his running line. Dean's List is in there. Felix, Creative Minister, who's running in the Preakness today. He didn't finish too far behind him when they met last time. Now, I know Creative Minister had an awful trip that day and should have won that race by 3 or 4 lengths, but still, he's been freshened, worked well on May 9th. I just think he's probably better, should be better than these if he can get any kind of a trip. With No Joke, switches trainers since his last start. Worked okay in the mud on May 8th. Is a half to stakes place, JoJo Air. So a lot to like about him. But you still have 2 first-time starters that are big question marks in here. Ruthless Intent and Japard. They paid $150,000 for Ruthless Intent.
Yeah.
I've seen him work. He's okay. He doesn't have a ton of speed that would make you say, boy, this one's going to jump out of there and run away in his first start. Probably going to come from off the pace. Maybe going to need one. Hard to say. But I stuck with the favorite. Positive review.
What about Gephardt for Francisco D'Angelo? Jaramillo's here, maybe with, we've got a speed rider. They team them up together. This isn't really necessarily the Barnes thing. We don't know a lot about the barn with, first-time starters, but any tout on this horse?
Nah, I haven't seen any of his works. There weren't anything on XBTV for him. 47-1 from the gate is obviously a fast move, but Gate Works, if you notice the times on Gate Works at Palmettos, they seem to be on the quick side, so it's just hard to say. You got to respect them. Obviously, it's not the toughest maiden special weight in the world, and if he does pop out of there and get loose, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, very. It's another race to take a look at the betting too, especially with Ruthless Intent and Japard. Win No Joke with the trainer change. I thought it was pretty significant. We know how good of a job Dave Fox does. So on to race 3. It's a 1-turn mile. These are 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds and up, which have never won 2. The tag here is 20. And I go to Russian to win. Blinkers off. A class drop for Carlos David. Second off the claim. Miguel Vasquez is here as well. I just thought the drop, Mike, was pretty significant here. And he claimed this one for 20, so it's back at the level. And, nothing really to worry about there.
Yeah, I get it. And he might get loose, and he might not look back. I respect him a lot in here. But those are 3-year-old races he's been running in, straight 3-year-olds for 20. This is older for 20. I think they're just a little tougher races. So I went for the 2 older horses, Brother Brad and Democracy. I know Democracy finished in front of Brother Brad last time, but Brother Brad did all the dirty work that day. Hard used, dueling for the lead, faded late. Hopefully he'll get a better trip today. Either we'll get loose or not likely with the Russian to win in there. I think he's going to sit, stalk, and try to pick up Russian to win and then hold off Democracy. So that's the way I saw it. But if Russian, the win got brave on the front end, it wouldn't shock me. Yeah,
and Antonio Sano, with Democracy has won a few races of late after kind of really a slow start to the Royal Palm meet. I know he's up in Baltimore. We wish Simplification all the luck in the world. I think we'll talk about the Preakness in a little bit, but Democracy, certainly he could be.
He's got a little hang in him, too. Yeah. You look at his last running lines, he's right there at the 8th pole and then doesn't make up any ground. So you have to be a little concerned when horses start showing those kind of tendencies. Yeah, without a doubt. There's a lot of one-fers in here, and I do tend to agree with Mike that he's got a little penchant for running underneath. Race 4, we are back at a 1-turn mile again here. These are 12-5 maiden claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. And Mike, you go down inside a little bit to the 2 Creme Caramel. I've got in third. He goes Gilberto Zerpa. Probably needs to show a little more speed, right? Yeah, you hate betting and trying to back horses that have to come from way out of it, even going a mile on the main track. But, that was a pretty impressive middle run he made last time. She made, and she did it in a field that had some older horses in it. It was a 3-year-old and up, not straight 3-year-old race. So even though she's going against some older horses in here, she's been there and done that. I just thought this is the 3rd start of the form cycle. Looked like she improved last week. If she makes a little better timed run and can improve a little bit, that's why I went to her. It's a tough race to really fall in love with anybody, these bottom-level maiden claimers. So. And I agree, and that's why, I have Dixie Diva on top. I don't know what kind of price we're going to get. Admittedly, she didn't do a lot of running last time, but, it was off a layoff. It was off a trainer change to PETA. 2 turns. Now we cut back to 1 turn. The blinkers go on. We've got the 10-pound
apprentice aboard as well, and going to get a lot of weight. I'm not a huge weight guy, admittedly, but we're going to get a lot of weight from some of these horses. And, 37 buyer, if that's your thing. I know that's not a great number, but it actually is.
Well, in here it is.
It is. It's exactly.
Everything's relative. I mean,
yeah.
She was my second pick. And again, in these kind of races where you got a lot of maidens that have run a lot of times and haven't won, horse with only 2 starts, you got to take an extra look at, even though if they're not pretty. But she's going to Peter back to the main. I agree there. And getting an equipment change is taking off the weight. The one thing you got to worry about, you got a very inexperienced rider. So I know he's won one race, but you never know what sometimes you're going to get from these guys until they ride a little bit more. So that's a question mark. That's why I picked Cream Caramel first and her second, but I could have easily have flip-flopped them too.
Straight to go is 3s on the morning line. I don't really disagree with that at all. I mean, she's the best horse in the race, but you're 0 for 14 with 8 thirds, Mike. I mean, it's just tough to trust a horse like this. Water finds its level, and she might break through one of these days. She's going to get bet hard again, but boy, she's a tough one to trust.
Absolutely.
Go on to the 5th here, and we get to the turf here. It's a good one, too, on a good turf course, and it's great to see that with the rain yesterday. We are on the turf today. Kicks off that middle pick 4. Take note of that, too. 12 race card, so we put the middle pick 4 in here. It's an optional claimer. These are 3-year-olds and up. The tag is a quarter or a 1X. We go a mile and a 16th on the turf, and we're all over the place with our top picks. I like it. Shady McGee, what's the story?
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of race where you might need 4 or 5 to stay alive in the gimmicks. But I just thought this horse has run with better, going back to the turf after being forced at Peter, going 1.5 miles the last 2 times. They're almost toss-outs for me. You saw that last race, made a big middle run, premature middle run, got to the lead, but 1.5 miles probably not its best game. But you look at some of the horses that this horse was competitive with last year. And again, last year is last year, this year is this year. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But Myra Mission was just second in a Grade 1 in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs.
And loves
Sifting Sands, Grade 3 winner. Yeah, and one that won a Grade 3 here, Myra Mission. Sifting Sands, a Grade 3 winner. Was competitive with these kinds, so he's got that back class. This is a good spot for him if he could get even back close to that form. And you look at his workouts off the layoff. Very steady, 5 furlongs, all in the dirt, all decent. I think this horse is a sleeper in here, so that's why I took the shot in such a wide open race.
Sneak a look at your page, and you've got no pace written down right there, and that's why I go to number 6, Dominate the Moment. To me, I think he's loose in here. I would think Jaramillo's on a send mission here. He can get the lead. You look at this field, not only is there no other speed, there's horses that have, no desire to be remotely close to the pace. So he seems to be coming in good form. He's moving forward. You mentioned earlier, 3rd start of the form cycle. Let's take a look at this replay, too, because I talked about it. This is a key race on today's card. Here he is here at Dominate the Moment. He's the 3 horse. The winner's going to be back. He's the 6, and the winner's going to have trouble. We're going to actually show this replay again. I don't want to talk about the winner too much because we're going to bring it up again. But here's Dominate the Moment on the outside doing all the dirty work. The finishing order, 6-3-5, and you're going to see they're nowhere around right now, but Dominate the Moment sticks around. He guts it out. I thought this was a huge effort, Mike, and like I said, to me, he's got to be the controlling speed in here because I just don't really see anyone else that wants to go.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I have him 3rd, but again, he was close to the top pick for that reason, but I just decided to go for a little bit more value with Shady McGee. He's obviously in good form coming off the layoff, so you could maybe expect him to move forward again. And if he does and he gets loose, I can see a point there 100%.
Yeah, 3rd start off that layoff. Public Information was necked out. Maker's got a couple in here. He's going to be the one that's going to be bet more. He's got somewhat of a tactical gear at least, and down inside to save the ground. So I think he's a player as well. It's a really, really good race. It's a tough one to kick off that middle pick 4.
Yeah, Seagram Fast Boy too. I don't know why the layoff after the huge race last time, but he only got beat 1.5 lengths to a Lonesome Fugitive, who come back off that race and won an A other than in New York with a 90 buyer. But his works have been good. Maybe he's going to need one off that 3 months away, but this also is a promising horse, so I also threw him in the mix.
Yeah, got some upside, too, for Steve Dwoskin and Miguel Vasquez. You put them together, and they're 22%. On to race 6, 6.5 on the main track, a fast main track here. Maiden claimers, 3-year-olds and up. The tag is 12-5, and you've got the 7 on top. I've got it in second. Toscanito for Antonio Sano.
Yeah, you know, I just didn't love any of the ones that have been running. So this horse has been away. He's obviously a giant question mark. Why are they running for 12.5 off the long layoff? But he's got a steady string of workouts. When you got a horse coming off a long layoff and taking a drop, if you don't see a lot of workouts, it becomes a lot more suspicious and a lot more red flags on a horse that can work 5 5 That's Sano's modus operandi. We know that. But he's got that 59 on May 7th, and he was under pressure to do it. But, you know, 59, even under pressure for a horse that's running for, 12.5 maidens, you got to respect him. So I don't know what to make of this horse. I just took a shot and hoping if he's got one good one in him, one good one's going to be good enough to beat these.
And to be fair, you know, Antonio puts his horses in the spots where they can win and where they can perform. He's not a guy that's going to, you know, throw a lot at the wall. So, I feel like, the drop is worrisome, but maybe just at the end of the day, this is where Toscanito is supposed to be. I go to the 6 Siango, who I used last time, and you know, I will admit he should have won last time, and he didn't. We got to look at a trainer stat here. It's not a lot going on, but you put Fausto Gutierrez with Miguel Vasquez 5 for 11, so he's getting on all the live horses. The barn has had a good Royal Palm meet. You know, that race, I think, is the race to beat, Mike. You know, can he back it up? Does he move forward? Does he come back? Because it's kind of the elephant in the room a little bit, at least on figures. But I thought he did run, you know, if he can get back to it, he's going to be tough in here.
Yeah, the thing that scares me about him is he seems to be hanging at 5.5, and now he's got to go 6.5. So is he going to be able to sustain some kind of a run? I'd almost wanted to see him going 6.5 to get to the lead and not have to pass horses, because he hasn't done it, like I said, going shorter than this. So I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it going 6.5. I made American Dollar my second choice, coming back for this tag as well and going back to the main track. But another horse, a lot of hang in him, a lot of phony. He was a beaten favorite 3 times at Tampa. For twice to tag against better horses, arguably, except maybe Toscanito, if Toscanito has anything left. But I threw him in the mix as well. But we'll see. I don't know what to make of Toscanito. It's a big question mark.
Yeah, and I think
he's taking a shot.
He's 9-2 on the line, and you want to see him bet. No, you want to see him bet, because if he's sitting up there at 7-1,
if he's 9-2, you're in trouble here.
That's not a good sign.
That's a bad sign. Exactly.
Yeah. Pork Chop is another underlay that, you know, usually runs his race, but it hasn't been good enough. He's going to be underlay again today. So let's take a quick break here on Gulfstream today. When we come back, Rainbow 6-time 450 in that gross jackpot guarantee.
And they're off. Second in the 2-path. Round off first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. It's last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Brian Nadeau with you, and a special thanks to our buddy Mike Wells for stopping by with the crew up in Maryland. Preakness 147, of course, taking center stage today, but 12 here, and we're going to get into the latter half of the card, which means it's Rainbow 6-time here in the 7th. We'll take a look at my ticket. $450,000 in that gross jackpot guarantee. Here's a $38.40 ticket. It's kind of aggressive. It might not be for the faint of heart. I've got a couple singles. We'll talk about this race in a second. In race number 8, the single is number 9, Illogical Love, who I think is going to be a pretty short price in there. Then we spread in race 9. Copacetic on top for me. Dave Fox taking over for E5. In race number 10, number 3, Spirit Wind in that stakes. A really, really good renewal of the Musical Romance. Going to see if she can pop the field on the front end. My best bet of the day is an aggressive one. Risk manager in the Mr. Steele in a race where, you know, you could probably take 6 of them. I'm going to try to beat the betting public and get some advantage there by singling, and then to get out in the 12th, number 6 on top. First gold for Diane Marici coming in from Tampa. So we'll get back to this opening leg, Mike. These are 3-year-old fillies, or 4 and up, which have never won 2. The tag is 35, 6 furlongs on the main track. I never do this. You've got her in third. I went with Raspberry Ballet in here. Boy, she's 1 for 29, 14 underneath finishes, excuse me. I get it. I understand it all. I think she's been running pretty well, Mike. I think her races, for the most part, are better than these. And we'll take a look at a trainer stat, too, for Claudio Gonzalez, who just does really, really good work in this kind of arena. 26% dirt sprints off the claim the past 5 years. I mean, this is a prolific barn up in Maryland, starting to get some traction down here in South Florida. It's against all really fibers of my being, Mike, but I like this horse today.
Well, I mean, look, she's the only older horse in here against a field of straight 3-year-olds, so you got to give her that. But the 1 for 29 is pretty tough. I mean, this might be the weakest field she's been in. Hard to say. She's been in some 20 never win 2s before for older horses, and still, you know, been on the fringes. So, but I did throw her in third. I took a shot with Lily Bear, mostly because they're going back to the dirt with her finally. You look at her first race of her career on the dirt. Look at the horses she was in with. That might have been one of the best 2-year-old filly races of the year at Saratoga. Echo Zulu won. Outfox was third. We know what Outfox did here, coming here for the Sire Series. I'm just banking on that she's got a lot of class behind her, and it's going to come out on the dirt. Her last race scares me. It was pretty dull. But she's where she belongs. She's on the surface where I think she best belongs. Her best works are on the dirt. So I'm going with Lily Bear. Just, you know, Safi reaches out to his go-to guy, Jaramillo, here too. So I'm just not sure how this is going to play out, because this horse has some speed. Her stablemate, Anna's Dream, looks like projects to be on the lead.
Right.
So I don't know how they're going to work that one out. But, you know, Lily Bear just might have enough class to stalk and win anyway. So that was my top pick here. After that, I was just kind of scrambling around. I picked Blustery second. If a speed duel does develop, she looks like maybe she can come from out of it. And she's another one, you know, getting some class threes back for the same price that she won her maiden at pretty easily.
Yeah, I put Restless Eyes underneath. She's been streaking. I know she now goes off the claim, but Jose Garofalo's had a very, very good Royal Palm meet. Maybe he can keep it going. She's won 2 in a row by the length of the stretch, and she could trip out in here too. It's a tough race to kick off this Rainbow Six on what is a very, very tough sequence, without a doubt. We go to the Tapeta in the 8th here. These are 3-year-old fillies, or fillies and mares at 4 and up, which have never won 2. Kind of the theme on the day. 12-5 is the tag. A snappy 5 on the Tapeta, and it's not a surprise. Mike Illogical Love's going to take a lot of beating in here.
Yeah, you know, again, I'm not crazy about the 3-year-old against the older horses, but she was with olders last week. She was in a race that was won by Sappy Joseph with a 6-5 shot, Dreaming of Audrey. I agree. I think she's definitely loose in the lead. You know, she handles the Tapeta okay. I went with her on her top a little reluctantly because of the 3-year-old against older. Mislow, brutal trip last time. She's where she belongs. Got to give her a mulligan. She won't be last, believe me, turning for home today unless something really outrageous happens coming out of the gate. So I think Mislow's the one to beat. I think you got to use them both in your gimmicks, but I agree with you. You know, loose on the lead's a pretty potent factor, and it looks like this filly's good enough to carry that speed 5-ace.
Late pick 5 there as well, and I'll have my ticket a little bit later on. It kind of just mirrors the Rainbow. So the late pick 4 here in race 9. We get back to the turf, a good turf course today. It's an optional claimer, fillies and mares 3 and up. Tags a quarter, it's a 1X, a mile and a 16th on the turf. You go down inside to Passion Plus for Liz Dobles.
Yeah, I mean, look, this horse knows how to win. She won last time. She beat maybe a field that was a touch softer than this, but I don't think quite a lot. Going to have to work out a trip down on the inside, hopefully just not get too shuffled back, because she doesn't have a lot of early speed.
Yeah.
I think if she could repeat that race or improve on it, good enough to win. But this is a race, I think, and I guess, did you spread in here? This is a race I think you need to spread on to me. Copacetic was my second choice. This horse may actually be able to get loose on the lead in there. There's not a lot of speed in this race. This horse is forwardly placed in all his races. the horse that she beat last time, Accept Temptation, came back for Tom Albertrani and won a maiden special weight with a 75 buyer at Tampa. So that's a good thing. Been away, but a lot of foundation under her. I know it's going Chad to David, but that doesn't bother me. David seems to have got this horse in a good groove coming into the race. So those are my top two, but you could name 2 others or 3 others, and I wouldn't say anything against.
Yeah, I agree with Copacetic. I know, you're going from Chad to David, but we know how good David is, too, and he's done a good job with these E5 horses as well, and she just seems to have a world of upside. My stab, my bomb underneath, Chick Shadow fits with these on figures. I know she's going to be a huge price. She's a big number on the morning line. She was just 62 to 1 in the Tampa Stakes, but Shifty, she was up there. You look at her 2 turf races, most recent turf races, they're not bad efforts at all. She's probably going to get completely forgot. If you're really, really looking to blow it up, don't sleep on her, at least in your exotics as well. So stakes time now in the 10th on the main track with the Musical Romance, and boy, it came up really, really tough. We're going to show a couple replays. First, we'll show Spirit Wind just absolutely bottoming out. It's a bunch of 3-year-old fillies in the any limit. Look at this speed she's going to throw down here. 21-4 to the quarter, and she just keeps on keeping on for Ralph Nix. And you and I talked in the office, Mike, and obviously our Adios jersey's out there on the outside. This is a freakishly fast 3-year-old filly getting a little weight as well.
Yeah, this horse not only ran this great race, but two great races in a row, but she's come back and worked sensational. That last work, 47 to 1, if I recall correctly, she came home her last quarter in 22-4. So she could not only zip along early, but she could finish. I just don't know what to do with her here because now she's taking on older horses.
Yep.
She's going to get pressed early, without a doubt, by our already Adios Jersey, who's won 6 in a row to start her career or whatever it was, including a grade 3 stake. So I had mixed feelings here. I would have almost rather have seen Spirit Wind, go into a graded 3-year-old stake somewhere than come in here. I wound up going with Adios Jersey. I just thought she probably needed that.
Let's take a look at the replay.
Race.
We'll bring that up too while Mike's talking about it because they're all the gang's all back, basically, and here they all are here. And she was in such a good spot. I found it surprising she didn't win.
Well, I mean, she was off 4 months and showed only 2 recorded works. I'm sure she had a couple more on the farm. Going in, I was surprised she got hooked like this early, especially, by the horse that hooked her, that had been doing a lot of mile races and whatever. You got a horse that's come off mostly mile races, and here she sticks her head in front of a horse that usually wants to be in front and is in front a lot longer. But she dug in down on the inside and actually came back. I thought she was going to be off the board when she got past at the head of the stretch. And if you put that along with the fact that she maybe needed a race, I'm puzzled by this one. I really don't know what to do. I wound up putting her on top. She shipped in here earlier this week. She's with Rohan Crichton now. I know the trainer is Gerald Bennett. He's been preparing this horse. No work since the last race, but I get it. It's been 3-4 weeks. And for all I know, she might have gone back to the farm and had something there.
Yeah.
But she's with Rohan Crichton now. She's going to stay with Rohan Crichton. This is a prep for her to get her along to the musical. This is the Musical Romance, to get her to the Princess Rooney, the Grade 2 Princess Rooney. The fact that she's got that outside post, I think she's just going to stalk Spirit Wind. Look, Spirit Wind may be a freak.
Yeah.
And if she can't get by her, I get it. But I just went for the older horse with a race under her belt. And, for a price, race day speed, got within a half length of Corey and ahead of our Adios Jersey last time with a wide trip. If these two hook up on the front end and things get to collapse a little and she could save a little more ground today, maybe she's kind of the sleeper play. But, I went with Adios Jersey. I know you went with Spirit Wind, and it's hard to make an argument against either. It's just be interesting to see how this race plays out in the run down the backstretch, who's going to be where. I'm guessing Spirit Wind will be on the lead, and Jaramillo is going to just sit off but not let her get too far away.
We'll get to the 11th now, the Mr. Steele, and this one came up really, really good. I'll lead it off in $75,000 stakes here, 3 and up, a mile and a 16th. We're going to show the replay again. This is Risk Manager who won the race. I want to bring it up again, though, because here he is back here. Yeah, he wins by a neck, but boy, I thought he was much the best this day, Mike. I know he got set up a little bit. I understand it. But look, he gets shuffled back here. He's going to have a little trouble threading his way through. And they're going, I think there's speed in here, Mike. I think there's a lot of pace to set him up. There's not necessarily a bunch of horses that want to run off, but there are horses that want to be involved early. Here he is now. He's going to have to even check a little bit here. And he just didn't have a clean run of it. And he finally, when he finally sets sail and gets clear running, he's going to move back down inside. I thought he broke through in a big way. It's an aggressive best bet of the day for me. But I mentioned it, earlier, when you single a horse like this in a race where people might be going 5 or 6 deep, you really get a leg up kind of on the rest of the betting public. That's the approach I took in this spot.
Yeah, you're going to get a good price on a horse you know is in good form.
Yeah.
You're just going to need to get through that field cleaner today because it's a tougher spot. I kind of went with the same kind of horse, Iman, in here.
He loves it here.
He loves it here. He's in the best form of his career. I just like the way he sat and then accelerated when he was asked, and he had to kind of work his way between traffic, too. It wasn't like he had a clean run outside and just, flew down the center of the track. He kind of had to pick his way through horses. He's just so good right now. He beat Freedom Matters, ran down Freedom Matters. Freedom Matters is a pretty good horse. So I took a shot with Eamon. Same thing, probably going to be a bit of a price, probably going to be a bit overlooked. Going to need to get a little lucky with the trip, but maybe he will get some pace. Clear Vision, giant question mark. Obviously, grade 3 winner. Here this winner comes off a clunker and the layoff. Just, is he the horse he was in his last race? He was the horse he was when he won those stakes, or is he somewhere in between? Will he get hooked? Will he get loose? Big question marks. There's too many questions for me to take him at 2-1 or 5-2, even though on paper he's the most logical horse.
Agree wholeheartedly. If he runs his best race, he'll win comfortably. Do we get it today? I think that's a big, big question mark. And as Mike said, he's going to get bet. We'll wrap it up on the Tapeta in race 12. These are 8,000 claimers, 3-year-old fillies, 4 and up, 2 L's here at a mile and 70. We'll go quick here. I go First Gold at a little bit of a price. You're down inside with Kentucky Pride.
Yeah, he's been a second in his last 2 with, she's been with Better. Got beat by Conundrum Queen last time. Conundrum Queen's won 3 in a row now. Ran a 72 buyer last time out, winning a 16K starter. So I think this field is just a lot easier than what she's been meeting. She got too far back last time in the pack. She needs to sit closer early and not get into any traffic or get swung wide like she did in her last 2. But I think if she can trip out, she's the best horse.
Yeah, I mean, Bobby Hess has had a rough go of it, long overdue to get a little luck. So that's the 12 here today. We're going to get going at 12:15 shortly. But before we leave it, we've got a lightning round to go over. Obviously, Preakness 147. But we're going to start it right here, what we saw yesterday. Little bro up there, Boppy O, was just absolutely dynamite. A half-brother to Papa Cap. A grade 2 winner, second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Mike, I always say when horses come from off the pace and do it like this, you better look out. It's really impressive.
Yeah, no, this was a big effort from him. We weren't surprised at the even money price with the breeding and the workouts. And this was a big effort. You'd rather see a horse win like this first time out than wire to wire and then holding on by a length or so. This is a horse with a future, so it'll be interesting to see where this one winds up down the road. But pretty good way to start off.
Talked a good job by Mark Cassie, and obviously his assistant down here, Nick Gonzalez, did a really good job getting this horse ready. And he's a name. He's a horse going places, I think. So keep an eye on that. Where's Joey? We found him. We found him. He's won 4 in a row. He's been absolutely streaking. And I wanted to add this one in yesterday because, boy, here's his track. This is great job, guys, again, getting this track ready. A fast main track today. This was race 8 yesterday. And look at the time here, as Dennis said. Look at this horse freaking, Mike, and he did it the hard way.
Yeah, and he not only held up, but ran away late from Absolute Grit, who's been in a roll himself. So
3 in a row himself, yeah. So Preakness 147, obviously, we've got the wagering guide. It's free. Check that out. There's so many great nuggets in there. I saw buddy Eddie Olczyk stop by yesterday, and it was good to see him. And we've got so many of the expert picks and all that are in there for that. And then there it is, 147, a little bit after 7 o'clock today. Preakness 147 in Baltimore at Pimlico. It's epicenter to beat. Any thoughts?
I went with early voting. Obviously, epicenter the horse to beat. I don't want him at 4 to 5.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he ran terrific. He ran a winning race in the Derby and got beat by a horse that you just would never expect him to ever run a race like that. The question is the 2 weeks. Some horses it affects, some horses it doesn't. It's a question mark, but when you got that question mark at 4 to 5, it's easy to go somewhere else. I went with early voting. Horse keeps getting better. I like the fact that they gave him the 5 weeks off. bringing him in here fresh. I really like that work I saw from him at Belmont. He worked with an older horse, a very good older horse called Miles D. He was best in the work, loved to gallop out. So I think this is a horse sitting on his best yet. He's going to need it. The question with me is how things work out early. Does early voting get loose? Does he get hooked early? Does Epicenter sit right on his tail, which I can almost envision the same scenario as we're talking here with our Jersey Girl and Ralph's horse in that race, her stalking the leader. I think Epicenter probably going to stalk early voting early, but if early voting can just get loose a little bit and relax, I just think this horse is sitting on his best race.
I agree. It worked with Cloud Computing.
And he's going to be 3-1, 7-2, somewhere in that vicinity.
Big deal too.
So, and of course, simplification. He ran terrific in the Derby.
He really did.
He was wide. He got jostled some early.
Yeah.
Didn't kick on like I thought he would at the end, but still ran terrific. And I look for him to be right there too. Maybe not get up over those two, but I think he'll be, on the board at least once again.
He doesn't get the respect he deserves, but boy, Antonio's done a good job, and obviously Skippy Longstocking's up there as well. So that's a wrap. Mike, thanks again for the 2 days. Really appreciate it. Big help. We'll be back shortly. 12 race card today. Stay tuned.
Good luck, everybody.
The Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance is really the vehicle for the transition for our racehorses coming off the track into a second career and safe environment for these horses when they're done racing. I've been passionate about racehorses my whole life, animals in general, and without the TAA to provide that oversight, there would be a big void in terms of making sure that we have this ongoing safe environment for our off-the-track racehorses. I'm excited about the undertaking and excited about working with our board and our team at the TAA to continue the wonderful progress that has been made. So I'm very excited about what the future holds.